So hey, welcome to OCRnR, where we review and redraw your original characters based on our bad taste. I'm Raven Middle, your host and artist today, and here's my partner, Codename Rook.
Hey, baby, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. We've been moving. You don't like that one?
I'm just gonna continue now.
I'm not proud of it either, but frankly, we're here, so...
We're just gonna sail on through. We've got another episode of our series for covering the basics. The last couple videos we mentioned shape language and posing. It's like huge to having unique and recognizable silhouettes. Even with the same body and base, you can use those two things to make a unique shadow. But you shouldn't only have the same body and base. We're talking about the importance of diverse body types in your cast. Now, we're not talking about exaggeration just yet. Right now we're talking about having different characters with varying height, muscle, fat, etc. We will probably cover exaggeration soon, but it doesn't really apply to all art types or styles. It's more of a cartooning thing, less of like an illustrative realism thing. So that'll come later.
Implying that most of the characters we've done so far haven't been just a little bit cartoony and a little bit exaggerated.
Yeah, but a lot of the stuff we've been talking about so far, like silhouettes, shape language, etc., applies to all art styles and art mediums, whereas exaggeration is a lot more common in like cartooning and stuff like that. Like having an illustrated or realism style doesn't really have exaggeration as much. A lot of art and anatomy tutorials or life drawing classes kind of focus on slim or standard like muscular bodies, so a lot of people never really branch out past that, especially if you yourself have a slim frame. I know it took me forever to realize how to break down and draw different body types. Most of what I draw is just like lanky twinks.
Yeah, what else do you need?
Only lanky twinks.
We need someone who isn't a lanky twink now.
That's the point of this episode, right? We're talking about having the point of having diverse characters, having different heights, having different fat distribution, and different muscles. It all gives your characters like a unique silhouette to start before you like start adding hair and clothes and stuff. Body types can also help tell a story about said character. If you've seen that lineup of like women from different sports, that's a great example. All of them are fit and muscular, but in different ways. It's like tailored to what they do. If you haven't seen it though, Rook, I can grab it and send it to you.
I have seen it.
Okay, never mind. Similarly, it is important to learn that fat also sits in different ways. Different people can have different distributions of fat on their body. It's important to avoid drawing fat characters as if they're just, pregnant or like blown up or stuffed with pillows.
Sometimes I'll go like, yes, this neck will stay the same, this head will stay the same, but now when they are larger, I will draw every single feature of the body like this. I switch everything to an oval and I don't do anything. Don't do that.
They're just wearing a skin suit that was inflated with air.
Yeah, it's I've seen it happen and it's not good. It's a little offensive. Muscle is seen as hard to learn because generally you have to know how anatomy works to make a muscular character. And nobody wants to study because that's lame.
True, I'm learning how to draw and I hate it. It drives me wild every single time I sit down and do an anatomy study.
Every time I have to draw shoes, I'm like, I should learn how to draw this, and then I simply don't.
I'm like, wow, that's a hard structure. Anyways, time to not learn it.
Time to just kind of blur it.
I'll figure it out, or dang, they got triangles for tootsies now.
Yep, that's how I draw. Yeah, honestly, fat characters are much the same as drawing muscle or any other anatomy that you're learning. Giving a character a round tummy or a big chest isn't really how most people gain weight. It's like evenly distributed.
You want to make sure that the entire body adequates for that, but it really does just take an understanding of how your muscles will connect. The areas that actually will thin out a lot is the ankle. The ankles don't have a lot of muscle nor fat on them, so they tend to get very, very thin as you get towards them. Your fat will still bulk up on top of the muscle that's on there, right? So your structure will still be there.
There's definitely a learning curve to drawing diverse bodies, just like if you're learning the basics of a human skeleton and proportions, but using your basic framework of the human skeleton and proportions, you can adjust the muscle, fat, and weight. And you can make a huge range of body types, which will greatly increase the diversity of your cast.
These are all what I would consider average bodies. I usually consider there are 5 main body types. We have 3 attributes that we can modify them with, which would give us a total of well over 100 different body types.
These can, of course, be pushed further with exaggeration, but it's important first to learn how to do the different body types. Now, I am not the best at, like, the detailed part about having diverse body types. I don't draw very realistically. And it's kind of hard to find tutorials that cover different body types instead of just like, you know, the general skeletal structure, but I did find a few, and I'll put those in the description for people that know how to teach better than I do. Alrighty. So, here is Dante. I would be remiss to have a video about body types and like diverse proportions without including art from Peaceful Roadkill, or Pax, he's shown up on the channel. His art was pretty much a given in showing up in this topic because he really likes to draw large men of varying body proportions, and they're usually pretty diverse. At least from your standard, like, cutesy, trim character.
All the way from bodybuilders to bears, but there are no twigs here.
Bodybuilders to bears. And they are very good. He's very good at that, like, that kind of muscular body type and or fat distribution. It's very impressive. I picked Dante specifically because he's muscular but not like slim. He's got like a round chin, like wider hips and thighs and stuff, but he's still like fit, and I thought that was a really good example of like how you can mix and match instead of just having like a slim character, a muscular character, or like a fat character. Also
those tattoos, dang, that's impressive.
Pax is great at tattoos. All of his characters have tattoos, and they all look so cool. Dante has like a bit of an hourglass frame where he's like got wide shoulders and wider hips, but he's filled out instead of being like trim in the middle. Mm-hmm. Also, I like his hair and his silly little ears.
I like the design. I also like the setting that he's in. At least me, I spend most of my time either in the hard, like, 18,000 years in the future or more fantasy setting, so seeing a more urban fantasy kind of setting with all the road signs and the buildings in the background, but still being a clearly not just human character. I like it. I also like the fit.
Yeah, the fit, at least, especially in the second reference, does really good to show off the body type as well. Mm-hmm. So about Dante's story, he is, quote, technically a human, end quote. So we got a lot of story on this one, so I tried to summarize and like kind of bullet point it. Let's see, there are humans who are born in spots between the Fey realm and the human world where magic is more prevalent, and they're called leyliners, I believe, which is a very cool title. Mm-hmm. So they're a bit rare, but not guaranteed. Humans are born in those with innate magic abilities, develop unusual color pigments in their hair.
Okay.
Which I think that's fun. I love fantasy hair dye. His parents were either always at work or whatever they ended up doing, so he ended up taking care of his younger siblings a lot. So that's that bit of a lore on like the world itself, and then we're jumping straight into like character information.
Okay.
The older sibling left as soon as possible, but Peck said, quote, I get the feeling that they think he's illegitimate, so they don't really want anything to do with him.
Wow, okay.
There's not a lot of information on the oldest sibling.
Okay.
So Dante moved out when he was 18 to live on his own. Dante's younger sister, Marlo, with an E?
Marlo, yeah.
Marlo came to live with him when he was 21, and she was 15. She got kicked out for disagreeing with her father's new wife. She's also in college now via help from Dante. That is important. They have a very close relationship, apparently.
Good for them, making progress.
Good for them having a healthy family dynamic.
Good for them, growing past the difficult childhood they were raised in.
The only people in their family that has a healthy family dynamic.
Yeah, we're just going to focus on that, though, because that's the cool part.
Just those two.
Yeah. The rest of the family, do they even have names? Sorry.
No, I don't think so.
You have to be... Oh, for real?
You have to be happy in order to get name privileges.
Exactly. Sorry, people that we're going to have to censor from our previous episodes because their stories were sad. You're gone.
Our own characters.
Yeah, bye-bye, Maddie and Jet. You're not welcome here anymore. Oh shit, I said their names again. Oh no.
Oh no!
I'm breaking the rules. I just made them.
But, growing up, they were very close, Dante and his sister, because Dante tried to shield her from their parents' arguments, and hot boy relatable. I'm kidding.
I thought you said hot boy relatable, and I was like, oh.
Family trauma, that's pretty hot. Pax says that he believes that their parents aren't necessarily bad people. They ended up resenting Dante even though he didn't really do anything wrong, so he wasn't treated very well, but he always tried to be like worthy of their love and attention. Which, you know, relatable. We've all been there.
Hmm. I'm getting a look into the looking glass here.
About Dante, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Dante got scars on his face from when he was 17, when his grandmother lashed out at him and threw a wine glass at his head. Not relatable.
You okay, Dante?
You good, Bo? His parents told him not to make a fuss about it. That was when he began to wear his hair over his face like that, which I love the character has edgy hair because they have a scar. I think it's so fun.
I was just thinking Pax definitely likes edgy characters.
Well, actually, he's not very edgy, I should think. He's got, like, the turmoil in his family's past, right? But he's actually, like, not sad. He kind of just lives with his sister now. Like, and she goes to college and they have, like, a domestic urban life. And it's like, oh yeah, all this trauma that happened in his background really only made him like a people pleaser. And he's just like a sweet guy. Also, all of his tattoos have specific meanings. In his opinion, his right arm is like perceived negatives, and his left arm is what he aspires to be.
Right. When I grow up, I want to be a flower.
Maybe it's like a flower that has meaning. I don't really know what, like, flowers mean what. Or maybe he just means, like, he wants to be gentle, you know? I don't know. It's interesting.
I like that he's got the spiked collar. Make him look like a feral dog despite the fact he's a big old sweetheart.
He's a puppy.
Puppy.
I love the lore of where the magic came from, personally.
The ley liners?
Yeah. I love having justification for having funny colored hair. It is like, be like, yeah, magically colored hair is one of my favorite things. There's a lot of very in-depth information on like a lot of small things. I don't really know what the broad backstory is. I know how it affects him because I know like how that works, right? But it doesn't really specifically say a lot about like this has caused him to do this. It's really just here's a list of things that happened in his background, kinda. And I wish it went a little more in depth on like how certain things like affected him now. Like it's like, oh, he got a scar on his face from this incident and now he wears his hair like this. Like I like that one because it's like this was important because it affects him currently. Or like his parents were arguing all the time, so he built a strong relationship with his sister, so she ended up moving in with him. I think all of the information related to his sister is very good because she's currently an important character in his story. So like all of her information is good because like you have to build her up, right? But it feels like it's like a bunch of random incidents and less so like a broad overall backstory.
I think that's fair.
But it's like I want to help people make better characters, but I also want to point out the fact that, you know, making OCs is fun. They don't have to be narratively perfect because they're just here for funsies. I want to know more about what Dante's current aspirations are. I feel like we got a lot of information on his backstory, not a lot of information on his like current life. Like what is his goal, right? Is it just to become like a better person? Because we didn't get a ton on that. Or is it like to support his sister? Like what's he up to, you know? Where does he live? Where does he work? I do think that this information like is like PAX does have this information at least now. But the summary that we summary that we got definitely focuses more on Dante's like background and less of like what he's currently doing. I'm also very curious on how the magic that he was born with like materializes and affects him, or if it's just like a physical appearance thing.
What'd that tail do?
But no.
No, not like that. I don't know. Does the tail improve his balance? Does he hear better because of the ears? That's a good point.
Like, I also don't know what animal, like, if that's just general Fae or if he's based on a specific animal. I'm very curious. I would love to know more about specifically his sister and specifically the magic he was born with and, like, what he does currently. That's all information that I feel like is very important to this character. That's all I got on Dante, I believe. I can't say for sure if he's a himbo, because I don't know if he is dumb of ass, but I think he is built like a himbo, so we'll give him top marks for that.
He gets honorary bimbo status.
Oh yeah?
We put you on the council, but we do not grant you the rank of himbo master. I'll be like, it's outrageous, it's unfair, no one respects women more than me and is dumber than I am. So the character that I brought today is Charlotte Montaigne from Bun Arrow 1. She is a bunny girl whose face in the reference you could perfectly crop and put on a wanted poster.
Oh no.
She was a mech pilot. She was a mercenary. She was a pirate. And now she's kind of just chilling in the in the backwoods of space. You know, character goals. But I love
Yes.
the character design. But I love all the references that we got, because we got a couple were in slightly different art styles. I don't know if they were just done at different periods of time, or they were playing around with art styles, or just got a bunch of commissions, but either way, I love it. Also, you should check out their Twitter. It's great. They're into Warhammer 40k, and that's pretty cool.
I was like, they give me gamer vibes.
They do. I went to their Twitter to try and learn a little bit more about their character, and I found a lot of art of their character and then a lot of memes. But they are an orc fan, so, you know, kind of cringe, but yeah, it'd be like that sometimes.
No.
But yeah, since we're talking about body types, I love that we got a buff woman. It's not something I see as much online. That might just be the circles that I'm in, because I like Final Fantasy, and I like more traditional sci-fi. Traditional sci-fi is like, check out this huge guy in power armor, and then this girl in a skin-type bodysuit.
Oh, it's
So it's
so
not
bad.
Yeah, so it's not really as much muscular woman. So I saw that and I really liked it, which is why I chose it. I also like that she isn't just like muscles on a slim body. She actually looks like she's pretty built. Like, her shoulders are wide and her arms are buff. Especially in the reference where she's back to back with another character. She has some real wide arms, and her quad games are to die for. So love that for her.
There's also, I know a lot of more anime-esque art styles tend to make characters like muscular, quote, 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 but it's really just like a little definition on the arm and like maybe the stomach. She definitely like looks muscular all over her body.
It looks like she's been working on her musculature for like a good long while, instead of just, yeah, I got buff arms. What more do you need to be a muscular character?
Hey, I drew some abs on my tummy, so...
I took a Sharpie and I drew a little waffle pattern, so I'm ripped, don't you know?
Which, by the way, I love how they drew the actual, like, abs, because they're so hard to draw without it looking literally painted on, at least for me, and I think they did a really good job.
And they have the muscles to the side, like they have a whole muscular core, instead of here it's just a six-pack and no muscles outside of it that you would naturally grow while you're working out your core.
Yeah, and like the defined collarbone. And the spot where it connects specifically from the neck to the shoulders is really good. I see a lot of people forget that part because it gets kind of like big there. And it looks a little weird, I'll have to get it to you, but like it's definitely done really well here.
Also, she's got a big real burn mark on her arm, and a lot of characters, when they have scars, it's like, oh, here's a tiny little scratch on their cheek, or oh yeah, they got a little cut on their arm. But here it's like, oh no, her whole arm has like a pretty substantial burn mark on it, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's got really good textures too.
But I like it because I like seeing a part of a character that makes me interested in, like, what happened to them? I want to know more about them. And for me, that's what that burn was. But yeah, speaking of her story, I think we've got our first sci-fi character. We've had,
Yippee!
yeah, I think we've had urban fantasy and we've had more traditional fantasy, but we haven't had sci-fi. So I will take that.
Yeah, I think we've had modern characters as well. So this is definitely our first futuristic one.
Because we had Bob and we had Dante just now.
Bob.
Bob. Charlotte has been through it a little bit. She was a mech pilot, pirate, mercenary, but now she's a little bit more family oriented instead of out and fighting whatever fight needs to be fought. We didn't get super much about her, which is why I decided to see if I could find anything on Twitter, but she gives me the vibes of someone who's like at the end of their own story / character arc, and are now just like living their best life and like fostering the next generation. I don't know how true that is, but I kind of like that vibe for her.
Retired like hero fighter is a very good I lost my thought brain archetype, there you go.
Yeah, and now she has an adopted daughter, so
Oh,
yeah, it might be the girl in the third picture who's like back to back, but I couldn't find anything.
oh well.
Oh well, I wasn't looking super hard, and it was a couple weeks ago, but
Awesome. I like her. She seems nice, but devious.
yeah,
She's definitely giving devious.
definitely friendly, but also like someone you would still rather be on good terms with.
She's giving goblin energy.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Where she's like friendly and fun, but she's also like a little shit.
It's funny you should say that because she is a religious woman who was reformed and is trying to be a bit of a pillar of the community for the backwater system she settled in. It might just be in the eyes. It's got the eyes of a troublemaker.
She do got the eyes of a troublemaker.
But yeah, overall I'm a really big fan of her and her design. I think it's great, and I like a character who feels like they've been through the world that they're in, instead of just a character who exists in a world but isn't really affected by it. And I guess sci-fi is just oftentimes so different from our everyday reality that it's a lot harder in sci-fi for a
Right.
character not to kind of go through like, oh yeah, they were a pilot and a mercenary and a pirate, as opposed to our everyday life where it's just like, yeah, I worked a retail job.
Yeah, I worked at McDonald's, and then I worked at Walmart. She's just doing, job hunting. Maybe it involves a little bit of killing, but what job hunting doesn't?
Hey, I bet those pirates had a pretty killer union and some nice some nice benefits.
You know pirates, they're well known for having unions.
Dude, being a mech pilot was great, but then I thought about it and like the pirates union, I had better healthcare there, so I switched over.
The pirates union, they treat scurvy.
They do, and they treat it free of charge. They give you some lemons and say, suck on this and you'll feel better before long, and it worked 100% of the time. Welcome to my spaceship, here's the orange trees.
Here's the oranges.
You gotta make sure you don't get space scurvy.
I like her blue hair also, it's very cute.
I like I lost my train of thought.
I like the her.
I just like her. Good character design. 10 out of 10.
I definitely thought she was a Final Fantasy character at first. Because 14's got the bunnies, so I was, and they were like mech pilot, and I'm like, was she the mechanist in 14?
Congratulations, your characters will be given Final Fantasy status. Please do not resist.
You have become a fantasy, I'm sorry. I like her colors, I like her fit. Except I don't know what I'm gonna draw her in, so I'm gonna probably a sundress.
That's a win.
Shout out to this person for being able to draw abs. I can't draw abs.
Congratulations, your character is getting winter coat, corset,
Yeah.
vest, covering the ab 10 times.
Listen, I'm so happy for your diverse body types. Not me though. As I mentioned earlier, studying is lame.
2 characters with tails today, though. How about that?
Oh my god, you're so right.
One's got a little cottontail, and one's got a whole tail. Sci-fi or urban fantasy, doesn't matter. You're getting a tail.
Everybody gets a tail. Everybody gets OC'd. No. Everyone gets reviewed. There we go. If
Nailed it.
that's all I think we've got for these two guys today. If you have OCs and you like getting art of said OCs, good news. We have submission forms now.
Yeah, once you fill out the form, it's pretty easy. You just need to send in a couple of pictures, tell us a little about your character, their story, so we can talk about it while we are doing the speed art, and in the end, if we can find a episode theme that matches your character and another one, we'll have them drawn up, we'll talk about them, it'll be great. It'll be a lot of fun, and you get some free fan art out of it, so, win-win.
Gimme. But it's also, yeah, after we cover basics, we're just gonna have themed episodes. Like, for this episode could have been characters with tails. And scene? Question mark?